There is a pill in your cabinet that a company reverse engineered from a meal your ancestors ate 3,000 years ago. They patented it, marked it up 9,000%, and sold it back to you. These are 10 ancient meals that heal, and number 1 is something your grandmother already knew. Number 10. Fermented horse milk from the Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan did not build the largest empire in human history by being tough. Well, he did, but his army had a secret weapon that had nothing to do with fighting. Every Mongol warrior carried a leather pouch filled with fermented horse milk called arag. They would squeeze milk from their mares, seal it in a bag, and let it sit for days until it turned fizzy and sour like a thick yogurt drink. Now, before you say that sounds disgusting, keep in mind that these men were crossing frozen mountains and burning deserts for months without stopping, and most of them stayed perfectly healthy the entire time. Scientists at the Mongolian National University tested arag and found it boosts immune cell activity by 30% in a single serving. But Russian researchers found natural antibiotic compounds living inside the drink that fight off harmful bacteria without any help from modern medicine. So while every other ancient army was losing soldiers to disease on the road, the Mongols were casually sipping on a portable immune system in a bag. Fermented horse milk is about as strange as ancient food gets. But the ancient Greeks were doing something with their Olympic athletes that sounds like a dessert recipe until you realize what it did to their bodies. Number 9. Fig and honey cakes from ancient Olympia. The original Olympic athletes were not chugging protein shakes or eating chicken and rice. Their coaches had them on small cakes made from dried figs, raw honey, sesame seeds, and crushed almonds, and they ate one every day for a full month before competition. Sounds too simple, right? But figs are loaded with potassium, calcium, and iron that your muscles beg for during intense training. Honey hits your bloodstream fast for quick energy, and sesame seeds deliver 5 grams of protein per ounce along with 2 compounds that a 2011 study in the Yale Journal of Biology and Medicine found fight inflammation and protect your cells from breaking down after hard physical work. The Greeks had zero understanding of amino acids, and yet they accidentally built one of the most balanced performance foods modern sports science has ever seen. Old texts say the athletes on this diet beat the ones eating regular meals almost every time, and that was written down 2,000 years before anyone invented a nutrition label. The Greeks figured out peak performance food by accident, but this next meal was no accident at all because West African healers designed it on purpose to do one thing: keep dying people alive. Number 8. Pepper soup from West Africa. Across Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon, when somebody got so sick that their family started to worry, the local healer would walk in, and the first words were almost always the same: make the pepper soup. This was goat meat or fish thrown into a boiling pot with habanero peppers, alligator pepper, calabash nutmeg, and herbs so strong the steam alone would make your eyes water from across the room. Calabash nutmeg carries compounds that African medical journals have shown fight both bacteria and malaria at the same time. One habanero has more vitamin C than a full orange, and the capsaicin blasts your sinuses open within minutes. But the part that gets overlooked is what happens after you finish, because the protein starts rebuilding your body while the spices keep working for hours. A 2015 survey found pepper soup was still the #1 food remedy across 14 different ethnic groups in Nigeria, and hospitals in Lagos have started putting it on the official recovery menu for post-surgery patients. That is modern medicine looking at a 1,000-year-old recipe and saying we cannot beat this. West Africa turned spicy soup into something hospitals now copy. But this next civilization made a healing food so complete that NASA spent research dollars trying to grow it on a space station. Number 7. Quinoa stew from the Inca Empire. If you told a modern nutritionist that a single plant contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to build and repair muscle, they would ask what lab created it. Nobody created it. The Incas found it growing in the mountains over 5,000 years ago, called it the mother of all grains, and treated it like something sacred. They cooked quinoa into a thick stew with hot peppers, potatoes, and healing herbs, and fed it to warriors coming back from battle, women recovering after childbirth, and anyone whose body needed to be rebuilt fast. 1 cup gives you 8 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber, and 58% of your daily manganese. But the hot peppers made it even better, because capsaicin forces your brain to release natural painkillers while speeding up your metabolism by about 8%, according to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. So this single pot was rebuilding muscle, feeding gut bacteria, killing pain without drugs, and burning fuel faster all at once. NASA studied quinoa in the 1990s for space missions and could not find anything on Earth that matched it. The Incas just shrugged because they had been eating it since before the pyramids were built. The Incas had a space-grade superfood 5,000 years before space travel existed, but the Japanese created something that scientists now believe is directly responsible for one of the most terrifying statistics in cancer research. Number 6. Miso soup from ancient Japan. There is a reason Japanese people live longer than almost anyone else on Earth, and researchers have been fighting about what that reason is for decades. But one answer keeps showing up no matter who runs the study, and it is a bowl of fermented soybean soup that Japanese people eat with nearly every meal. Miso paste was first made by monks in the 7th century who mixed soybeans with salt in a special mold and let it ferment. Samurai drank it before battle. Doctors prescribed it for exhaustion and weak immunity. But none of that prepared anyone for what the National Cancer Center in Tokyo found when they followed 21,000 women for 10 straight years. The women who ate 3 or more bowls daily had a 40% lower risk of breast cancer. 40% lower. From soup. The fermentation fills every bowl with billions of probiotic bacteria that repair your gut, and your gut runs about 70% of your immune system. So the places in Japan where people regularly live past 100, places like Okinawa, are the same places where miso shows up at every single meal. That is not a coincidence. Japan may have cracked the code on living past 100 with a bowl of soup, but this next meal from ancient Egypt caused the only recorded labor strike in the history of pyramid construction, and the reason why is wild. Number 5. Garlic soup from ancient Egypt. The men who dragged 2-ton limestone blocks across the desert to build the Great Pyramids were given one thing every single day without fail, and it was garlic. Not gold, not extra water, not rest, garlic. And when that supply ran out around 1600 BCE, those workers did something that had never happened before in Egyptian history. They stopped working. They refused to move another block until the garlic came back. Now that sounds dramatic until you realize what garlic does when you crush it. A compound called allicin gets released, and allicin kills over 23 types of bacteria, including drug-resistant strains that modern antibiotics struggle with, according to a study in Microbes and Infection. But garlic was doing way more than fighting germs, because a major review found that regular garlic eaters caught 63% fewer colds and recovered 70% faster. A 2016 study confirmed garlic lowers blood pressure by about 10 points, which puts it in the same range as prescription medication. So these workers were not being dramatic. They understood that without garlic, they were going to start dying in that desert. It was their health insurance, and they knew it 3,500 years before any scientist could explain why. The Egyptians literally refused to work without their medicine food, but the ancient Islamic world created a meal that quietly treated something the entire modern pharmaceutical industry still struggles with today. Number 4. Talbina from the ancient Islamic world. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that talbina soothes the heart of the sick person and washes away some of the sadness. And for over 1,400 years, people have been making it whenever someone they love is going through grief or loss that feels like it has no bottom. Talbina is barley flour cooked slowly with milk and honey until it becomes a warm, smooth porridge that feels like a hug in a bowl. But the reason it works on sadness is something modern science took over 1,000 years to understand. Barley is rich in tryptophan, and your brain converts tryptophan into serotonin, the chemical that controls your mood, your sleep, and whether food even sounds appealing when you are hurting. Researchers at the University of Tehran found that people eating barley meals daily for 6 weeks showed significant drops in depression and anxiety compared to the control group. But barley also contains beta-glucan, a fiber that a 2020 study found lowers bad cholesterol by 7 to 10% in just 4 weeks. So imagine losing someone you love, and instead of a pill, someone walks in with a warm bowl that eases your grief, helps you sleep, steadies your blood sugar, and protects your heart, all from 3 ingredients that cost almost nothing. That is what Talbina has been doing for 14 centuries. Talbina healed broken hearts with a wooden spoon and a warm bowl long before therapy existed, but this next meal was invented by the man they literally named all of medicine after, and he made it with just 2 things from his kitchen. Number 3. Oxymel from ancient Greece. Hippocrates, the person every single doctor in the world still quotes today, had a favorite remedy he reached for more than anything else. It was raw honey stirred into apple cider vinegar with warm water. That was it. 2 ingredients. He called it oxymel, wrote about it around 400 BCE, and gave it to patients with coughs, sore throats, stomach problems, and fatigue. Raw honey carries over 200 bioactive compounds that fight bacteria and fungus so aggressively that researchers in New Zealand found it could destroy bacteria that modern antibiotics had completely given up on. But the vinegar was not just there for taste, because a 2009 study showed that apple cider vinegar slashes the blood sugar spike you get after eating by up to 34%. So with 1 cup of warm water and 2 cheap ingredients, Hippocrates was simultaneously fighting infections, stabilizing blood sugar, and feeding healthy gut bacteria 2,000 years before anyone invented a probiotic supplement. He also told his students that all disease begins in the gut, and when Stanford researchers published their microbiome findings in 2018, they basically looked at each other and said the guy from 400 BCE already figured this out. Hippocrates rewrote medicine with honey and vinegar, but this next meal has been prescribed by doctors for 5,000 years straight, and clinics in India are still putting patients on it right now, while you sit here watching this. Number 2. Khichdi from ancient India. 5,000 years ago, Ayurvedic healers in India created a meal designed to do one thing: completely reset your body from the inside out when everything felt broken. They called it khichdi, and the recipe has barely changed because nobody has found a reason to improve it. Split mung beans cooked with rice, ghee, turmeric, cumin, coriander, and ginger. Mung beans are the gentlest protein source you can eat, giving you 14 grams per cup without the bloating other beans cause. But the turmeric is where this crosses from food into medicine, because curcumin has been examined in over 3,000 studies and fights inflammation at a level that matches actual drugs. A 2017 review confirmed curcumin performed as well as medications people pay serious money for. But here's the part that blows scientists away. The ancient Indians always cooked turmeric with black pepper and ghee, and research out of Bangalore showed that combination increases absorption by 2,000%. They figured that out through observation alone, just thousands of years of watching what worked. Clinics across India still prescribe khichdi to recovering patients today, and after 5,000 years, it still outperforms most alternatives. Khichdi has been doing its job for 50 centuries without a single update. But this number 1 meal is the oldest healing food on the entire list. And you probably already know what it is because someone who loves you has been making it for you your whole life. Number 1. Bone broth from ancient China. Every culture on earth has some version of this. Every grandmother swears by it, and every kid who has ever been sick has had a bowl placed in front of them by someone who loved them enough to stand over a stove when they could have just handed them a pill. Bone broth goes back 2,500 years to ancient China, where Han Dynasty doctors told their sickest patients to drink broth, simmered low and slow until everything good inside the bone dissolved into the liquid. They called it a foundation food because they believed it rebuilt your body from the gut outward. And when a team at the University of Nebraska finally tested it, they found compounds that actively reduce inflammation in your throat and lungs, which means your grandma's soup was never a placebo. It was real medicine hiding in plain sight. The slow cooking pulls collagen, glycine, and glutamine from the bones, the exact amino acids your gut lining needs to repair itself. 1 cup gives you 10 grams of protein plus calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus your body absorbs almost instantly. But the real secret is the 24 to 48 hour simmer, because that draws out gelatin that coats your digestive tract like a shield, healing leaky gut and restoring the system that runs 70% of your immunity. People who drink it regularly sleep deeper, digest easier, get clearer skin, and feel less joint pain. And none of that was news to your grandmother. She already knew. She always knew. If this changed how you see food, hit subscribe right now because you have good taste and you do not want to miss what drops next.